conversations between Covanen and Quin become a lot more awkward and strained after that Halloween date, for many reasons. But Quin just channels the bulk of her frustration into finishing that VR and haptic feedback part of the matchmaker. And after a few test runs, she confirms that it does work, though it's not quite right. But hey, the matchmaker is complete enough. But now she's riddled with doubts and anxieties. It was great to chase the dream of near-real virtual meetups with Kova. But now that that is an actual possibility, Quin is hesitating out of insecurity. Fortunately, Quin has been having conversations with Nesrin via the matchmaker off and on this whole time, and Nesrin has always been ready with advice. She turns over some code she wrote up for Quin to improve her haptic feedback and VR systems and make it easier for other code and tech, especially Ryland's, to integrate into the system. She says this will get it about to the quality that Quin is looking for, though she does tell Quin it may take some time to compile and familiarize itself with the users. But after installation and a soft reboot, it should work. Quin thanks her for helping her with her project, and glumly remarks that maybe other people will be able to benefit from the full array of options the matchmaker offers, even if she may not. Nesrin tenses up and asks her what the fuck she is saying, making such vague statements. And Quin sullenly tells her that she confessed her feelings to Kova. She told her she was in love with her, and now Kova's barely talking to her anymore, and all their conversations are incredibly brief and strained. Quin sighs and she says that she really messed it up for herself, but hopefully other people will be able to use the matchmaker more successfully. Nesrin gentles and informs Quin that she is unlikely to have messed up and that Covanen is probably just running and hiding from her feelings, which is uncharacteristic of the kind of person she's been led to believe Covanen was, as Covanen has never been one to back down from a challenge. Quin dourly replies that she doesn't see how Covanen choosing to run and hide from her love indicates that she did not, in fact, mess up, as that response was not the desired outcome of her actions, and Quin doesn't see how quibbling over the semantics and technicalities helps her any. She beseeches Nesrin to not judge Kova too harshly, as the heart is scary, and all of this is probably a completely new experience for Kova. Nesrin smiles and tells her to not give up, and Quin despondently replies that she doesn't want to harass Kova. Nesrin tells her that the matchmaker hasn't been a complete failure because it's allowed her to stumble across some French and Arabic rap that has inspired her to undertake a project of hers in earnest. Quin reacts to that with optimism, saying that at least someone will get some use from the matchmaker, so it was not all for naught. She asks Nesrin how she found the rap, and Nesrin tells her that she stumbled across it thanks to Quin's tagging system, and she asks Quin about it. Quin does her best to explain both her tagging system and what French and Arabic is. That even though Nesrin is hearing the songs in a language she understands, that French and Arabic are foreign languages, and the songs in them have their own unique styles. Nesrin nods along, understanding that the AIs integrated into their mechs and hard suits translate spoken and heard language into understandable language to the best of their abilities, but she tells Quin that she wants to hear the music in the musician's own language because the emotion and sentiment will still carry through. Quin quickly codes up a widget to turn off the auto-translate and instead adds subtitles on a view screen. Nesrin thanks her, and they play music back and forth to each other as they talk. Nesrin's advice always comes back to telling Quin to keep at it, and that knowing herself and loving herself is a crucial key to her success. And Quin remarks on how difficult that is. Nesrin agrees that it is, and that she's disheartened to see Quin struggle so, because Quin hasn't done nearly as much sinning as she has. So if Quin can't do it, then what hope does she have? And Quin replies that she didn't say it couldn't be done, she just said it was hard, and she declares yearn. She will do it. She will yearn for self-acceptance and self-love, and she yearns for it for Nesrin as well. Nesrin replies that she shall endeavor to yearn for it the same way. She tells Quin that her project is about to be underway, and that means that she'll be heading off into space with the Arath Lance soon. Hyrule wants to try to bring the Aghaning Ashai back into the fold, and since she knows Arath and desires it, Hyrule believes she may be the best one to speak with them in the language they are fluent. Nesrin sighs and says Dasan is difficult as well, but perhaps this music I found will speak to them and find them so I do not have to switch to more informal language. Quin looks to her and says, "You'll tell me before you all set out, right?" "Of course. And you'll inform me as soon as possible when you all return, because you will return." "Are you declaring Yorn for our return, Quin Riesling?" "I am so weary of being a Riesling. But yes, I am. I yearn for your return. I know you shall return." "So be it. I cannot speak for them, but I shall endeavor to not let you down, and I shall yearn for your return from your battles as well. I know you shall return." "Thank you. Good luck." She moves to disconnect, but Nesrin raises a hand. "A moment longer, please." "Of course. Is Riesling a bad thing?" "Well, no absolutes, right? But the majority of Rieslings have definitely made it quite the unpalatable name. Few are overjoyed to hear the name Riesling, and I am no longer sanguine about bearing the name myself." "Do you have a way to change it?" "We can just take whatever name whenever." "Riesling is a surname, Nesrin. Non-Ashai usually only change their names through marriage, though I could just fill out some paperwork to change it to whatever, and I want to do that and have considered it. However, I'm at a loss for what to change it to. Do the Ashai have ways of easily abandoning their surnames should they feel it no longer suits them?" "Oh, yes. Many. We could lie on our ass and get our whole name devoured, for example." "We change our names in marriage too, and we can adopt people into our families as jurors did with Skald, with ease. There are 6 surnames among the Ashai, but they are not especially meaningful, as we are all one family. The surnames are merely to present as a name to strangers who have not earned our trust yet, or to establish kinship and familiarity. They are holdovers from when our progenitors first colonized Dinhark." Kovanen sent me a list of all the surnames, and I like them, though I do not know which one is hers." "Are you truly over being a Riesling, Quin?" "God, yes." "So be it. I have 2 questions for you. I'll answer them to the best of my abilities, then." "Good. What does Kova mean to you?" Well, it's just a pet name. The first part of the honorific name she bears. I like the pet name, though. It's short and crisp and sweet. Like her." "Short, crisp, and sweet. Much less impactful than being her other side. You can do better." "It's not a competition. Not everything has to carry a ton of sentimental weight. Kova is my pet name for the woman I am in love with." "Ah, so Kova is woman I am in love with, then." "Well, you are the term with her, Quin, and it is so much more than love. Kova is woman I am everything with." "The term is literally everything?" "Well, that's a short definition for it, yes. Everything doesn't even do it justice, honestly." "I see. Then yes, I am everything with her." "Then you are nothing without her." "Yes." Nesrin sneers. "Huta without your Kovanen. I remember feeling the same. I often still feel the same. She's not my Kovanen. Easy. I was just teasing you. The honorific name of Kovanen establishes the woman you were everything with as everyone's Kovanen should they accept her." "And so she's bound by that honorific as well, isn't she? Should she be anything else, she becomes a different term, a different name." "Yes, I suspect that is one of her greatest fears, becoming lost, for she understands what it meant for us to have Kovanen returned to our people. and how much it would wound us to lose it in her. It gave us hope to have Kovanen with us again, the name of the first matriarch who started it all, who laid the foundations for our people, made Peor and awarded to this girl who is everything to and with you. She doesn't want to lose herself. You said you had a second question, but could you please tell me the story of the living Kovanen we both know first? Certainly. Our people were ambushed by two forces of enemies who used deadly weapons like this blistering gas that ruined our lungs and withered our crops, and lasers that continued to agonizingly burn long after the shot had been fired and landed, which no amount of mud or water could alleviate. That burned for years. Quin scowls. Ah, last gasp and warp fire. I know of both. My signature weapon actually fires warp fire. She lifts up her gun. It's banned. Illegal. I thought it was cool to have it. She sets it aside. I was shot with warp fire, right in the chest. It burned off my right breast completely. I wear a prosthetic. It burned for 3 years. It was agony. Quin blanches. Yeah, that's not cool. How did you survive? Luck and sacrifice. The armor we wear is made out of the same material as the spear we awarded you. The warp fire melted clean through 2 of our people effortlessly before slamming into me, but it was enough to prevent the blast from carving clear through me as well. Quin grimaces. A weapon is rarely a bad thing, Quin. It is more often than not the individual who wields it that makes a weapon good or bad, not the nature of the weapon itself. We, unfortunately, live in a reality where weapons are necessary. But perhaps, in time, we may one day find ourselves in a reality where weapons can just look cool. Those who desire to be a weapon and stay a weapon are, in my opinion, the most dangerous weapons of all. Interesting insights. I think both the weapons and the people are the problem. Perhaps so. The necessity is the problem in my opinion. But we are getting off topic. At the age of 8, the girl we know as Kovanen lost her entire family to that gas in an ambush. She took up a spear, not unlike the one we awarded you, and began to strike back. She declared herself Egan, and she tore into anyone who was an enemy of her and hers. She devised cunning traps and deadly ambushes, and her enemies, our enemies, did not take her seriously, for she was only a child. Thus, she quickly left a trail of dead and ruined bodies in her wake, killing thousands of invaders by trap or ambush, and leaving behind tens of thousands more permanently injured. And we joined her. We took up arms, and we learned from her how to set traps and lay in ambush and bide our time, stoking our rage, until the time was right to lay waste to those who might seek to destroy us. Be clever and full of tricks, and your people shall never be destroyed. Indeed, we are Elrara. We banded alongside Kovanen, who called herself Aegon at the time. But we declared her Kovanen, for she was with us, and we were with her. If she was lost, then we were all lost together. She rejected the honorific, a huge affront to us, and doubled down, declaring herself a Roth as she went off to siege a base, and we joined her and overran it together. We seized a small array of mechs to use that day, and that really started to turn the tide. And again, we declared her Kovanen, and she insisted she was a Roth, and together we struck and struck and struck and struck, and for every one we lost, they lost thousands. They began to fear us, to hide from us, and they called us demons. Those Hutas were so readily capable of knowing wrath and dishing it out, but they are utterly unable to take it, to see it visited upon them just as effectively as they visited it upon us was alien to them. Such was their belief in their superiority. They had dehumanized us so extensively that they did not even recognize a wrath when it answered them back. Before long, they had lost so many lives or livelihoods to our unrelenting counter-assault that they fell over themselves trying to negotiate a ceasefire. But capital K Kovanen, still declaring herself a Wrath, told the Utahs that they had started this war and we were finishing it. And at that, people who were not even Ashai left. They abandoned their allegiances and they flocked under her banner. And since we continued to insist she was Kovanen, they called her Kovanen as well. It is my belief that it was those non-Ashai, understanding and knowing Kovanen, recognizing her undeniable expression of it, and being completely willing it to be Kovanen with her themselves, to fight and die alongside her, that finally swayed her. She embraced the honorific name. She allowed us to call her Kovanen, and called herself Kovanen in turn. She was 12 years old then. She'd been leading us for 4 years. And then Deliverance showed up, and they joined the fight. At first we fought them too, killed and crippled thousands of them. But then we encountered Skald. She was a colonel at the time, Quin. But the story of how Skald reached us is capital K Kovanen's to tell. But by the time the war was settled, she was called the Black Sheep Kovanen. That is the tale of the girl who is everything to you and with you. I see. And your second question? That's all you have to say? I see? What more is there to be said? She never should have been in that situation. None of you should have. But shoulds don't matter in this reality. It is heroic, inspirational, and I see why Deliverance co-opted her message. They devoured her. She's yours, but still also taken by them, claimed by them. That's cultural genocide, Nesrin. It's a capital W, capital C war crime. If she truly desires to be everyone's Kovanen, then she should be so on her own terms, on shared terms, not on Deliverance's terms. And knowing the truth, I am sickened at their damnable slogan. That's better. I knew you were good with words. My second question then. How many Rieslings are there? Oh, gosh, in blood? Thousands. In name? Not that many. A lot of them took their spouses' names in marriage, like my cousin. Not out of humility, though, out of greed. Riesling is prestigious, you see, and most of them married for power and influence. Ideologically, they'd rather yield that prestige to the Rieslings that remain than lend it to some outsider. I haven't been keeping track of the numbers for obvious reasons, but there's at least 13 Rieslings left, which, is another fitting happenstance. How so? Well, 13 is considered an unlucky number. It's a number of misfortune. Yet they are fortunate. Are they, though? Nesrin smiles warmly. 13 is a prime number. It can only be divided by itself in 1. Quin meets eyes with her. There is no difference between those two things. Then you know what you must do. Are you accepting assistance? I am. It will take more than this to set you free. But you have displayed that you intimately understand the difference between something that is performative and something that is symbolic. The girl who is everything to you and with you should share you, Quin, not I. But I shall, should you accept it, take you into my family until Kova is ready to accept and receive you. If it would please you, I embrace you as my sister, Quin, and you may now be known as Quin Sayr. I don't know if Kova will ever. I do. What say you to my offer? I accept it, sister. You said there were 10 before, so now there are 11. A prime number as well. Those can only be divided by themselves in 1. Nesrin smiles warmly. Indeed. I guess I will be returning after all. Quite. Me wishing you good luck is merely a polite formality. Nesrin grins. Then I wish you luck as well, sister, as a polite formality. And I recommend you ask Kovanen out on a real date in this matchmaker you've constructed, with the promise that you will both speak true your feelings and sort out and settle both those feelings and your issues amicably and respectfully. So be it. Quin Sayr signing off. She ends the call.